Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. It is certainly a sensitive issue when we're talking about individuals that have medical problems, and it's always, we always want to make sure that we handle things properly. So I just want to make sure that for the record, everything's straight. We're talking about deferred action, which means we're deferring taking action against people that may or may not be in the country here or overstaying a visa or something like that. Is that correct?
Well, they are here illegally. That's
okay.
The request for the deferred action.
Okay, so it's a request for deferred action. And the rules currently under the law, you are just enforcing the law that's currently on the books?
That's correct.
Okay, you're not making law or anything else. You're just enforcing what's on the books.
That's correct.
So when people received letters that said, if you're not in the country legally, you need to show up, or you may. Did the letter say action may be taken?
That's right.
So the word may was in there.
It is.
Okay, so it wasn't saying this was actually going to happen. It was going to say this may happen.
Correct. At the end of that time period, and they were form letters adopted from other usage in the agency, is pretty standard language. And at the end of that time period, adjudicating officers would then revisit the case about issuing an NTA or not.
So in other words, if I was a person that would have gotten one of those letters, I could have shown up and made my case, and I wouldn't have necessarily been forced to leave the country.
I mean, it could be the case that the NTA is not issued, but we of course we never really reached that point in this process with the initial August 7th shutdown of this process, because it was reopened less than a month later.
Okay, but again, I don't think it was any person's intent to make people leave that had a medical problem. It was just making sure that the people that were here actually had a decision made to let them stay by the U.S. government.
Well, it would have taken USCIS out of the prosecutorial role of exercising prosecutorial discretion, which is what deferred action is. It would not have replaced it with anything else, and it is, had it rolled forward, then it would have been considered in the normal course following on those letters.
Okay, so in other words, what really needs to happen is we as Congress should set up some kind of law. I mean, I keep hearing program and everything else. It's not really a program. It's just the fact that we're not taking action on something that we should be.
That's absolutely correct. And I mean, there is an equivalent in the State Department context. There's B2 visa. People can come visit temporarily for medical purposes. They have a whole process set up for that. It is temporary, and that's established pursuant to law passed by Congress. What we're talking about today is not based on law. It's not based on regulation. It is much like the executive creating law by deciding how to use deferred action, an inherent prosecutorial authority to achieve a goal. And if there's a goal on which Congress agrees should be achieved, and they pass a law to it, I promise you, we'll implement that law.
Okay, and I think that's an important distinction, that you're not trying to do anything other than enforce the laws of our nation. And if we as Congress think that law needs to be changed, and we make the changes, you will abide by the changes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And again, when we're doing a discretionary case-by-case scenario, I think that doesn't lead to any certainty for the people trying to enforce our law or for the people that need to come here and get treatment.
Well, it is not, even deferred action is not durable. It can be revoked at any time, and it isn't an immigration status. So it is, because it doesn't have a legal foundation, it is a very uncertain course for people to be on.
Yeah, I mean, deferred action, I mean, we can defer many things. It doesn't necessarily make them legal, and I guess that's the point I want to say. We could decide we want to not enforce IRS law and not collect taxes from a certain amount of people and defer their taxes. That doesn't mean they still don't own. It doesn't mean they're following the law. And I guess the point I would say for this committee, rather than replowing the ground that we've already plowed, the decision has been changed. I would suggest that we give the administration and the individuals trying to enforce our law the tools they need, and Congress act on this rather than wasting time on other things. And I yield back. Thank you.